Okay, live. So let's see.
Yes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kumar Achanta, and I'm from India. I'm a professional speaker and a coach. I work with organizations and individuals so that they can move into action for more profits, performance, and productivity. Meaning, I help people become action takers from being a procrastinators. That's what I do. And today, it's going to be a fantastic next 45 minutes because I'm going to have an interaction with Lena Roy, who is from South Africa. And she is an expert in creativity. And let me give you a brief introduction on how we met each other. We were invited as speakers at World HRD Congress in Mumbai, India. And that's where we met. And believe me, I have heard her talking in front of 1,500 people on the stage, and she has been a phenomenal speaker and a great presenter. I just loved her energy and the crisp points which she has shared. So I just congratulated her as soon as she was off the stage. She was brilliant. Thank you so much, Lena, for helping people become more creative. I think this is the need of the hour. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's
And
so cool to be here.
yeah, and Lena is a creativity and innovation catalyst. That means she helps people to reignite their creativity muscle in order to innovate. So the timing of reinventing your business instead of just surviving is exactly now, right? Lena is your key to helping your business with creative reinvention strategies. Lena works with schools, small businesses, as well as startups, big institutions, learning institutions, to help them successfully drive innovation and disruption in a digital economy. That's what she does. And she has her own company called Goats to Unicorns that facilitates workshops, online trainings to create a culture of creativity amongst people. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might be having a question on why are we talking about creativity at this time? Let me tell you, within weeks, last whatever 2 months, 1.5 month or 2 months, we have seen entire industries and jobs collapse. I have heard there were 3.5 crores of job losses in just the United States, and it's happening in India as well. So it becomes each one of us responsibility to continuously upskill. That means learning new skills for the current job, and or reskilling is learning new skills for the new job is mission critical for every one of us, right? So LinkedIn's 2020 workplace redefines which skills will be high in demand within next 3 to 5 years. And let me tell you, top 5 skills which are very, very important for each and any individual. Number one is creativity. Yes, creativity is on number one. And number two is persuasion, three, collaboration, four, adaptability, five is emotional intelligence. And we are going to learn today and understand what is creativity from one of the experts whom I know, who is Lena Roy. Thank you so much, Lena, for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, she's in South Africa. It's 4:30 for her p.m. in the evening, and it's 8 p.m. in India. Welcome, Lena. I'm so excited and happy to have a conversation with you.
Wow, Kumar, thank you so much for that great introduction. And good evening to those in India and good afternoon to those in South Africa. Thank you for having me on your so-called show and the opportunity to speak to everyone in very tough times. I think in very tough economic times where reinvention now is the key word as opposed to survival. Most companies or businesses are slowly going back into so-called work situation. And yeah, they've been surviving up to now, but now we need to look at reinvention. How do we go forward? How can we use the skill of creativity, which, as you said, is the number one LinkedIn skill in terms of actually, reinventing our business and, yeah, finding ways to make revenue. I guess, yeah, money is what makes it all happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And creativity is so much required every time. And the times that we are going through right now, last 2 or 3 months across the globe, creativity is absolutely important, because that's where companies are actually, finding to cut the costs, right? Cut the cost. That's why so many layoffs and are happening across the globe. So, Lina, my first question to you today is, why is creativity being touched as the number one skill in the workplace by LinkedIn? And of course, many other reports. Why do you think that's happening?
So let me give you my little Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Kumar.
Hmm.
In terms of before you can create new products, solutions, services, we need to bring new into the mind. And creativity is exactly that. Currently, we are what we call mentally incarcerated. In other words, we will go around saying, oh, I have no choice. I don't know what else to do. If maybe I had some ideas, I don't have ideas. And that's what we call mental incarceration. We need to free our minds. We need to free our minds so that we have choices available to us. Not one choice, not two choices, but many choices. And that's why at the bottom of the hierarchy of needs, we need to bring new into our mind in order so that we can create. Well, it's going to design thinking and innovation and disruption. But if you do not have that underlying skill to be able to come up with ideas, then everything else is just, not going to happen. And that's why they're touting creativity as the number one skill according to LinkedIn, the World Economic Forum. Sure, there are just hundreds of reports out now that are saying that creativity, because we need to stop being mentally incarcerated and we need to give ourselves the ability to have choices and mental freedom.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, totally agree with you, Lena. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, creativity has become the number one requirement at every workplace. So, you got to come up with new ideas on how to, you know, do that work with minimal efforts or dollar amounts. Am I right, Lena? That's what companies are looking at, right?
Completely. But as I said, at the end, it's all about, the ability to earn revenue.
Absolutely. All right. And my next question to you is, what has happened to our creativity? I mean, is it better to reskill your staff with creativity than to hire a new staff? Because I see whenever there is a requirement, human resources will go and search for people, who are more creative. So, what has happened to our creativity? That's my question.
Sure. So we are all born creators, and that's why, I'm going to the conclusion already. It's actually better to just reskill and upskill your staff with the skill of creativity than to actually hire new staff. But let me just give you a bit of a background. What has actually happened to our creativity? Why is it such a problem, and why are people struggling with creativity? And I always refer to Professor George Land, who he was a consultant actually for NASA. And he ran this, he was asked by NASA to come up with some form of creativity test to be able to test the creativity levels of the engineers, the scientists, and the astronauts. And that proved to be very successful for him. So he decided to run a longitudinal study with 5-year-old kids, starting with 5-year-old kids. He gave the same test that he gave to those engineers or scientists and astronauts, and they scored a 98% creativity genius level.
Wow.
They he gave that same test to the same kids at 10 years old, and they had dropped to about 30%. He retested them again at 15 years old and had dropped to 12, and he tested them as adults and had dropped to 2%. And his conclusion was that we are taught non-creative behavior, or as my guru Sir Ken Robinson refers to, is that we are educated out of creativity. Schools
Absolutely.
teach us non-creative behavior. And you see that variance from 5 years old to 10 is nearly 70%. If my math serves me right, somewhere along the line, maybe it's different. And that's when we enter the school system. And that's when we are taught convergent thinking. And unfortunately, that's what continues. And most adults are sitting with a 2% creativity genius level because we've been trained to be convergent thinkers. We are trained to be creatures of habit and very predictable in terms of our thinking. And I run these creativity tests with many of my clients and people who I work with, and they all think, oh, I'm incredibly creative. I'm like a creative genius. And I run some of these tests, and yeah, I come back to the same conclusion that only 5%, between 2 to 5% of adults have a creativity level. But the good news is we are all born creative, and it's just a matter of finding those attributes that we had that when we were 5 and making those come back to life now.
Absolutely. I mean, totally agree with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the good news you heard, we are all born creative. So you can work on that and have that creative muscle. Like we grow our biceps by going to gym. In the same way, we have some methods where you can be more creative, right? And Lena has mentioned Sir Ken Robinson's talk. You must hear the talk. He says schools kill creativity, right? So you're absolutely right, Lena. I think when we grow up as an adults, we forget how to be creative and how to come up with new ideas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And my next question is uh, the AQ quotient. What is AQ quotient?
Okay, so AQ stands for the adaptability quotient, which we mentioned in our previous advertising for this particular event.
Mhm.
And today, I think it's probably as relevant as we can probably get, because those who can adapt are those that generally now will succeed going forward. Those who are stuck in their ways and cannot adapt, those are ones who will be left behind. And the AQ quotient is made up of a formula, which is made up of IQ, which we know is our knowledge that we've learned and acquired over the years, our
Mhm.
EQ, which is emotional intelligence, and CQ, which is creative intelligence. And truthfully, you need all three of those in order to become these adaptable human beings. They don't work independently of each other. So just by being totally creative, you're not just going to be adaptable. By
Right.
just having IQ, you're not going to, and the same goes for EQ. You need all three of those to be working together in order for us to become adaptable human beings. And as I said, the relevance is definitely now, and we have to make sure that we have all those three skills. It is no good trying to come up with new ideas if you don't understand your market and you don't understand who your customers and have the knowledge about what you're about to do. You can't come up with new ideas if you're worried what people are thinking about you, and you fail, and you don't want to fail, and then you never try something. So that's resilience, the skill of EQ. And then obviously you need the creativity skill that we're going to look at now for a few minutes, is how we actually start to reignite that muscle that you were talking about.
Yep, absolutely, and I totally agree with you when you said adaptability quotient has to be
Yeah.
more stronger in each and every one of us. Fantastic. Now, reigniting our creativity muscle. What is this decom methodology? Yeah,
Okay.
can you
So
share something? Yeah.
absolutely. So the decom methodology is basically as simple as finding the attributes we had when we were 5 years old. So what attributes did we have when we were 5 that made us creative? And so I've developed this methodology to help us reignite this muscle so that we are able to be those 98% creativity geniuses. So let's start. So the D in the decom process
Hmm.
stands for divergent thinking. Now,
Divergent.
divergent thinking is the ability to come up with many different solutions. We as humans tend to come up with one or two, and that's where we end. So when you ask someone a question or you're thinking of something, the first solution is probably what most people have thought about. The second one is also. what most people. It's going beyond what most people would be thinking and coming up with different ideas. So let me give an example. If I say to you, Kumar, I have a teaspoon, and I say to you, give me 5 alternative uses for a teaspoon other than eating, stirring. What do you think we could use a teaspoon for?
Teaspoon can be used probably as a weapon to throwing at someone. That's what
Yeah,
or probably you can break something. You can break a glass, or you can break a coconut, open. And the other alternate use which I see is probably you can play with it. Just have two spoons behind each other, and you just try and play and throw it in the glass. That's one way of playing it with the spoon.
yeah.
Spoon, yeah, and
So,
and
so 100%. So you're on the right path, and if I left you for another 10 minutes, you probably could come up with a good 15. I mean, undo this normally going around in a circle, and people like reach a stage. She took my one. She took my idea. This one. I say, well, think of another one. Can't think. Come back to me. And this is the problem. Our brains have not been trained in order to come up with many different solutions as opposed to one. You see, remember, if you look at schools and you look at, just take maths, for example, when you're given a sum, especially in algebra, x plus 2x equals y, whatever, and told to solve for that sum, you're not just given the sum and said, come up with many different ways to solve that sum. You're given a particular formula, and you're told this is the formula that you follow in order to get to the answer. And just think about it. When our kids write exams or tests, they get marks for the formula, how they've done it, and they get maybe 1 or 2 marks for the right answer. And I'll often have, my children will say, but Mom, I did it a different way, and I got to the right answer, but I only got 2 out of 10 marks because I didn't follow the formula. And this is the problem. So that's what we mean by convergent thinking. And divergent thinking is the ability to come up with many different ways of a solution. So when you're thinking to solve a business challenge or a business problem, or the first 2 are generally what your competitors will come up with as well. It's going into this unknown where you feel a little bit uncomfortable. And that's actually where your creativity is, because we like to play in the known above level. To go into our creativity, we enter the unknown. And that's where we need to get to. And often it requires a catalyst like myself or yourself to come in and draw that out of people till they realize, hold on, I'm full of ideas, because once you get people going, they can go. The next thing stands for, the C stands for what we call curiosity or challenging assumptions. We as humans, as I said to you earlier, are predictable. And very few of us ask the question, why? And if you think back to a young child, what's the question they ask from the age they can speak? Why?
Oh my God!
Why do I have
Yes,
to go to bed?
yes,
Why can't I put
yes,
my finger in the plug? Why do I
yes.
have to do my homework? And what happens when they enter the school system or as they get older? They get told to stop asking why and just listen and don't put your hand up. You're disturbing the class, and we shy away. So again, we start to accept things the way they are, and that's why now we need to be curious. We need to ask the question why. So I always give an example is, why on average do we work 8 hours a day? Why for the past however many years do we work 8 hours a day? Who one day woke up and said, let's work 8 hours a day? Why not 7 hours and 45 minutes? Why not 4 hours? Why not 10 hours? Why not 12? Somebody, and I think how many of us over the years we've just followed this, work 8 hours. Things are changing. And why things are changing? Because people are asking why. Why do we have to? And just think about, let me just give you some background to that 8 hours. It actually started in the first industrial revolution when machinery came, and the machines were expensive to switch off. So they ran them on a 24-hour basis. And they then created 3 shifts of 8 hours. And that's actually how the 8-hour day was born. We're now in the 4th industrial revolution. And we're still following this 8-hour so-called a day. And yeah, the companies that are asking why, for example, Microsoft, or they're using why do we have to work 5 days a week? And they've come up with this 4-day a week, and they're finding the productivity better. So everything that you've got a question, you think, why are Uber such disruptors? What why questions did they ask? And a lot of them are around, why can't we have a cashless taxi system? Why can't people who have free time and availability in a car be able to earn extra income? And just start to think of all those companies that are disruptive. They've questioned the status quo. Why? And that's such a great exercise for you to look at your business and say, why am I serving food the same way I've always done for the past 5 years? Look at those restaurants now that are serving food on shelves, or this unbelievable restaurant in Ibiza in Spain called Sublimotion. It just blows you away. And I guess that's why they can charge, I don't know, $1,500 per person per night, because they are questioning why. We now go to the O, which is the stands for observation. We have lost the ability to observe. No two ways about it. We are so busy in our lives. We are so running the next race that we haven't even finished our previous race. And we have just lost this ability to observe. And, a few weeks ago, I was driving with my son, and he said to me, "Hey, Mom, look at that cool yellow Lamborghini with a red stripe that is there." And I looked at him and I said, "What car?" I didn't even see a car pass me, never mind a yellow Lamborghini with a red stripe. So looking at the attributes of a child, they observe, they look what's going on. They go and they tell you all the time, "Mom, did you see that?" Or "Dad, did you see that?" And we are so busy in our day-to-day lives that we stop observing basic things. And a great example is our customer needs. We're so busy serving people what we think they want, and we stop observing what they actually want. And I guess that's why there are these programs where these CEOs go behind the scenes and go into their factories and go into their restaurants, and they go and observe, because we don't. That's a basic thing. And in order to be creative, we have to know what's going on around us. We have to see what's going on around us. We can't make decisions and come up with new ideas and come up with new ways of doing things if we're actually not observing. And then just to end the last one, which is the M. Now, this is my favorite one. This is called mashing up, or conceptual blending. And this is where we can take various products or industries, and we actually connect them together. So let me explain our brain in the most simplistic terms. We have boxes. So when we are at school, or when we're in work, or when we are in ever, how do we learn? We take the information and we put it in a box in our brain, and we store that information. So if I'm learning, Kumar, about birds, and I take the information and I put it in my bird box. So if I asked you, Kumar, now, name me as many types of birds as possible, can you give me at least 5?
No.
I'm sure you can.
5 I
Different
can.
types of birds. Yeah. So
Yeah.
can you name just 5?
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot.
You want me to give the names of 5 birds, is it?
Yeah?
Pigeon, parrot, uh, peacock, sparrow, uh,
Yeah.
no, uh, probably bat.
There we go. So what you've done is you've gone to this bird box in your brain, and you've
Okay.
pulled out the information. And if I'd asked you fruit or vegetables or animals or whatever, you go to a particular box and you pull out that information. What we are not good at is being able to connect the different boxes together. So Kumar, if I asked you another question, the same question but turned it differently, and I said a bird is an example of,
Bird is an example of
yeah,
something which can
yeah,
fly.
Yeah,
You can
something
take.
that can fly.
Yeah.
100%. We could say something that you can eat, something that you can fly, something that a bird represents peace, bird represents, as I said, food
Freedom.
or freedom, whatever, flight,
Right.
animals with wings. But why it's more difficult? Because now you have to leave your bird box and your box, and you have to come out of that box and go and find your answer in other boxes. And that is the process is known as conceptual blending or matching up. And if you often, I mean, not often, but if you see the quote by Steve Jobs, who speaks about how creativity is just about connecting things. Maybe now that gives you a clearer understanding of why he's saying that, is that for some people who are creative, they just do it automatically. They've over the years obviously built up that skill through whatever means they've been able to as they're growing up. And the rest of us, unfortunately, have to practice that skill of mashing up. So, what do I mean by mashing up, and how do you practice this on a day-to-day basis? It's just a matter of taking two different objects and coming up with a new product, or three different objects. So, for example, Kumar, if I had a cellular phone and a pen, what new product could you create? Shame, I'm really putting you on the spot here today.
Oh my God. Uh, a phone and a pen.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, probably I can create something which I can write digitally, with my own handwriting and send a note like a stencil. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anything as long as you can create. And if I said a pen and a glass of water, what new product could you create?
Pen and a glass of water. Probably a pen with a beep in it, and it allows me to tell me, when should I drink water within how many,
Yeah.
know,
After
or
like maybe like an hour, it says, beep, you haven't drunk water, and you take, or it reminds you to take a sip, or
correct,
it's pens that's got a bit of water in it, or it's like a injection maybe that you can give yourself so you get liquid. Maybe it's got gas in it because water can be in gas format. Who knows? But this is what we call by conceptual blending, and this is also now, which we will talk about maybe some examples of companies or what they can be doing. Is this is what they need to be? They need to be looking maybe outside of what they do and look how they can blend other industry or other products with their current way of doing things. Again, it comes back to that question, why do I only have to, if I'm a salon, why do I only have to sell hair products? Why can't I do other stuff? Who said a salon is just for hair? I mean, a hair salon. Salon is also for nails or for waxing or for beauty.
correct.
And it's a matter of now is the time to start mashing up and looking at different things. So in summary, this is the decom methodology of the four attributes that we have lost as children. So the first one, a reminder, is this divergent thinking, the ability to come up with many different ideas. Remember, if you leave a box and a child for 3 hours, he will find many different ways to play with that box and to do something. If the second one stand for curiosity and challenging assumptions, and back to that child who says, why? We as adults need to start doing that. We don't need to become painful whys and keep doing it to our boss. Why? We don't, but we need to challenge assumptions. The O is the observation, and just think about a child who is at all times looking out and observing what's going on, and he understands the world better than we do. They always say, look at life through a child's eyes. And that's so true. We've lost that ability, and we need to start observing. And finally, mashing up. The M stands for mashing up, or otherwise known as conceptual blending. And that is the ability to connect our boxes, to come out of our boxes in our brain and be able to connect different products, different services, different ways of doing things, so that we reignite this muscle. And if you're practicing all of those, and again, I have to remind people that your creativity is like any other muscle, as you mentioned, Kumar. It needs working on. It's
Correct.
your dorsal frontal cortex that has shrunk over the years, and it needs to be expanded. And it's no different to if you want a six-pack stomach. You're going to work with it. And it's exactly the same way that you actually need to start working that muscle to reignite your creativity. So those are just four, of the steps or attributes, just to sum up
Wow.
going forward, and how I work with teams on lots of exercises in this, and how they continue with this type of work. And
Wow.
then we apply this back into their business situation. We find a challenge or a problem that they're currently facing, and then we are able to say, and then we solve that problem that they have in their business or in their lives or whatever it might be, using this decom process by asking the whys, observing, challenging us, what you call it, divergent thinking, and then finally conceptually blending.
Oh, wow. I just love this decom methodology. So, ladies and gentlemen, just type in the comments which one do you really, really like, and don't stop asking why. I mean, this is very, very important, and that's where children are very creative. Divergent thinking, be more curious, and observation. I really loved this decom methodology that you explained, Lena, and I know that you help organizations and small and big businesses to be more creative and innovative. So my next question to you is, can you share with us practical examples of, let's say, any shopping centers or any other small businesses like restaurants, which can be much better through creativity?
So 100%. So just off the cuff. So I was thinking the other day that, with this pandemic and people visiting shops and shopping centers less, people are going to reinvent themselves. And I also think, we need to start thinking about going online, and make sure that maybe at least 50% of our business is online.
Hmm.
So, if something like this does happen, we're not purely reliant on what you call it, physical shopping or physical purchasing. So I was thinking about, how does a shopping center reinvent itself in this time? And off my brain went, my creative brain, and it said, why don't shopping centers actually digitize? So, yes, they will remain physical buildings, but at the same time, why don't they offer a center for e-commerce for their shops? So, yes, a lot of shops have their own e-commerce and have their own online stores, but just imagine that they could negotiate a collective discount from PayPal, or they could help people set up their channels. So, like, I've been trying to set up my online purchasing, so people can purchase my course online. And it's quite a challenge. And here, if you're a shop and the shopping center now went virtual, and they could say, we will manage your platform, we'll manage your website, we'll manage your purchasing, we'll set up the payments gateway for you, we will do your social media advertising, just like a physical shopping center. They could now become a virtual shopping center. And look, going forward with augmented reality and virtual reality, people will eventually be like, it will be like they're physically shopping and taking stuff off the rack. I can't wait till that day that I put my virtual reality goggles on, and I go to our local supermarket chain. Maybe ours is called Pick and Pay, and I'm not physically at the shop, but I can still see the items, because there's something for me about seeing the items that attracts me to buy something. I'm not the best online orderer. I like the experience still of going to the shopping center. So eventually the VR, I'll be able to physically be grabbing stuff into my trolley, and then it'll just tally up at the end, and then it will be couriered to me, within an hour or so. So that's looking at a shopping center. What about a restaurant?
Yes.
How do they reinvent themselves now, and or how do they even survive? I'm not sure in India, but in South Africa, our restaurants going into our next level are still closed. And then I'm also thinking, will people, when it actually opens up, how many people will be happy to go and sit in a restaurant and feel comfortable with this pandemic going on? So, maybe this isn't just about waiting for them to open. Maybe it's about reinventing. And I was thinking of some ideas, and obviously, maybe the first one would be that most of them are doing takeaways and coming up with like boxes of stuff, to not like raw stuff, and they're sending it back to people, and people buying the raw ingredients, and then they have these videos. They teach people how to cook the salmon or how to cook the beef in the way that the restaurant cooks it. So they supply the ingredients, and they send like a box of, let's say I want their steak meal and malva pudding, whatever, for tonight. They send it to me in the raw, and I have to make it myself. But let's say I don't like cooking. So you are in the midst of summer at the moment, and I know you're at like 45 degrees, and there's
Yes.
nothing better than sitting outside. And look, I don't know which one's cooler, sitting outside or inside. But even in South Africa, when our weather is beautiful, I would love the fact that they went maybe like street by street and suburb and said, on a Thursday night, we're coming to your suburb. They go and we set a table outside our garage, and they set up somewhere else, and they've already pre-cooked the food, and you dine with your neighbors, except you are each outside your own homes, and they come and they have waiters who can serve you, and so on and so forth. Nothing stopping you from doing that. Or I saw a great way that someone is coping with that is they've started to sell raw ingredients. So they started to sell the fruit and vegetables, and they become like a mini market. But there's a place in South Africa, and I saw yesterday that they actually getting people who make their own stuff and come up with jams or whatever the case may be, and those people are able to sell it to the restaurant, and they've now created like a mini market that people can come shopping and buy these proudly South African goods at this restaurant. So they are diverging in their thinking now. They're not just selling food, they are selling the raw materials. And then, restaurants can start thinking, why do we only have to serve food? They have to now remember thinking of going outside and practicing mashing up and conceptual blending. Think outside restaurant, think outside food. Maybe there are other industries that you can partner with, or other products that you can partner with. That becomes, if people come in to get food, what else can they buy from you? Maybe you start selling masks, except I think there is like an oversupply now of masks because everyone is doing masks. So again, if you're selling masks, try and find another way. Don't sell the same thing that someone else is selling, because then you have to come up with a way that why will people buy your mask instead of someone else's? So come up with a whole new way of doing masks. I saw some people have created like a opening here for breathing. It's like a vent that opens for breathing, and this is the practice. You got to say why. You got to observe what your customers are, what kind of people buying, and maybe that just gives you a few ideas of now reinventing instead of just surviving. So that's just two examples. I'm not sure if anyone out there have got any other examples that they want to ask us, or
Wow. I
I'm
mean,
not sure.
I really liked your ideas on shopping centers and restaurants. When you were talking about that virtual reality, I could imagine wearing those virtual reality glasses and actually shopping. It's wonderful, and I'm sure this is gonna come, Lena, because nobody expected that we could see a person from this device, and
Yeah.
today the world has become very small because of internet and these kind of devices. And thanks to the technology, where today Kumar from India and Lena from South Africa could sit and actually have this conversation. Wow, brilliant.
That
I
is
mean, I'm sure,
unbelievable.
yeah, this is unbelievable. I'm sure if I told you this thing probably in 1990 or 95, you wouldn't have believed it, right? So I think this is about creativity and innovation. Fantastic. And I really like the restaurant idea when you said we can sit outside of our garage, and they can come and serve, and we can have food with our neighbors. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think this is a beautiful idea, and being creative is very, very important. So, ladies and gentlemen, write in the comment section on which idea did you really like about restaurants and shopping center, which Lena has shared. And if you have any questions, if you're listening right now currently, and if you have any questions, don't forget to put it in the comment section. We will ensure that we'll get back with the answers. And Lena Roy is the expert in creativity. And as I told you in the beginning, she works with small and big businesses, institutions, colleges, universities to help people develop that creative muscle. So, if you really want your people to have more creativity skills, you must invite Lena Roy for her sessions. And if you're scared that travel is banned and all that, we can do. Lena can absolutely do a virtual session like this with your team members. Am I right, Lena?
100%. And also this will be going online in an online course we'll be launching in about 2 weeks. So
Wow.
a very immersive, practical course with lots of fun exercises and lots of things that blow your mind that you think, oh wow, I can't believe that. I really am, a creature of habit, or my behavior is really predictable. I didn't realize that. People walk, I think one of the main things when people walk out of a session with me is that they say, I cannot believe how predictable we are, how we are creatures of habit, and how we literally just follow each other and accept things for the way they are. And yeah, it's time to change. But again, change just doesn't happen overnight. And I guess it's the same with adaptability. You just don't wake up one day and I'm an adaptable human being. It's acquired, it's learned, it's practice and practice and practice. And people struggle with that. People struggle with the practice part of it. But you're not going to, there's this notion of that some people are creative and some aren't. Yes, there may be people who have just got more certain abilities than others, or based on their past history, have had various instances that have brought out their creativity, and they've always been a curious person, or they've always liked to conceptually blend. But, most of us, we're not to blame. And we just have to start. And as I said before, it's that bottom level. You've got to bring new into the mind before you bring new into the world. So it's vital.
Absolutely.
And yeah, going forward, we're available. Please contact Kumar, myself. The website is below there, and we can help you. And we are passionate about creativity and the need to give you mental freedom. If you've been retrenched, people go see retrenchment as just one of the worst things that could happen. I mean, some see it as a positive and some see it as negative. And what else am I going to do? This is what I've done for the past 20 years. This is my skill. How am I going to reinvent myself? What am I going to do? Instead of seeing it, hold on. Now I've got so many choices available to me. I could do this, this, this. People are incarcerated. They are mentally incarcerated, and creativity gives you that mental freedom just to have those choices available to you. My problem in life is actually I have too many choices. I'm involved with so many different things because I just keep thinking of new ways and new ways. And then I think of this idea and then I think of that idea. So I probably got the opposite problem. But anyway, let that be the worst problem. And yeah, just want to wish everyone safe times. Yeah, creative times, it's reinvention times. And yeah, people are here to help you. Like Kumar and myself are here to drive
Fantastic.
your
And
business going forward.
I thank each one of you for watching this video, and do not forget to visit www goats number two to unicorns.com. We'll have that in our section wherever this video is getting posted. In the post, we'll post the website, and you can ask questions. Even if you're not live listening to this, it's recorded, and so it's on Facebook page. So you can just comment and ask questions. Reach out to Lena. She is phenomenal. She is very creative, and she can help you build that creative muscle. Fantastic. And thank you so much, Elena. It was wonderful talking to you. And thank you for putting me on the spotlight, though.
Yeah,
So,
you
yeah.
work
So,
with me. You work with me. You're on the spot all the time, and yeah, that's what I guess makes it dynamic and exciting. So
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure, Lena, and don't forget, Lena said that she's launching her course by mid of June. And if you want to sign up into the course, please reach out to her, private message, or just put it on the comment section so that you can be enrolled into the course, and you can go through the course which Lena is going to be created by mid June, and you can learn how to be more creative. Thank you so much, Lena. It was wonderful talking with you about creativity, and thank you so much for adding value. It's very important that, and I learned a lot. Asking why questions is very very important, and never lose your curiosity. And fantastic. I mean, I just really loved it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please don't forget to put it in the comment section, and stay safe and take care of each other. Okay. Thank you so
thank
much.
you, and
Thanks.
good night. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Good night. Thank you.